Okay, Renton here. I've got a little bit of reflection back on the event that we just had in Budapest and the FOP and how the judges went about evaluating people's use of it, what was rewarded, what wasn't rewarded, and just to give you a little bit of an idea of what the judges may have been thinking when looking at the use of the FOP. So what the judges were looking for, as usual, is use of the park. And use of the park is not just using the obstacle and adding this obstacle to another line where you use other stuff. It's seamlessly stringing together one obstacle to the next, to the next, to the next, keeping speed, having power, good execution. And really, it's not necessarily that you're using an obstacle, it's how you're using it and how you're linking together the other tricks. So as usual, it wasn't just good enough to just shuffle between the vert section and the hip and the vert section. I mean, that's the easiest way to skate a park, particularly if you skate half pipes or whatever, just hitting an air on one vert wall, getting over to a hip, hitting the hip, hitting another vert wall, and essentially making a half pipe out of a park. That doesn't cut it. Neither does repeating the same line over and over again. Like figuring out a line and just going back and forth between that same line over and over again. I want to see you use a whole skate park, string it all together with power, speed, and obviously add the most difficult tricks in there. Creativity obviously also plays a part. For example, at this event, we had 44 skaters and men, 44 skaters and women, and we must have think about 25 or 30% of the people in the competition all did melons over the box. Varying levels, some just a straight melon, others a crossbone. I think if you're going to do a trick where a lot of people do, just you need to try and own it and make it yours, give it some sort of individual feel. If it is a melon, like as I said, like a lot of people did melons over the box, but that's not to say that some of the people that did melons over the box did them really, really well and that were rewarded for them. But it just means that if you just did your regular melon over the box, it wasn't really registering a lot of attention from the judges as far as being like, wow, that's an amazing trick. It's like if we're seeing the same trick over and over again, it definitely we value more to see different stuff, or if it is the same stuff just done better than everyone else. A few things. I skated this course before any of the skaters that were in the competition. And when I first skated it, I thought it was really hard to skate. Looking back at the course before Shanghai, I feel like Shanghai, as a judge, I didn't skate that because I had a sore knee. But looking at Shanghai, it seemed like people were battling for speed. And on my first skate in Budapest, I immediately saw the same thing. I thought the same thing. The big quarter pipes were above ground. They were like an extension above everything else. So when things like that, it means that you have to go from a smaller section to a bigger section. And because the bigger sections are better for airs, sometimes you can be inclined to really want to have more speed, and you don't really get more speed from going from a smaller obstacle. So first reflection was it felt a bit slow, which meant that you really had to get the right lines around the place. And I think once you figured out the lines, it did seem to have an endless amount of possibilities of where to go. It was like a big, massive pinball machine with the two, with the I think they call it the pool cano and the jump box, and it was just like pinging off everywhere. And it was just really a matter of figuring out your line around that and really trying to present the obstacles that were there in the best possible way. But on the other hand, what I really thought at the end of the competition was this was the highest level of competition going to the Olympics. And I feel like for such high level skateboarders, I feel like it was a really good park to give them because it was a little bit more complex. It required more thought. And I think it brings out the best skating in the best skateboarders. I think if you have a really straightforward park, I think what you end up getting is you get a lot of tricks that you can do anywhere else just brought straight there. Whereas with this skate park, it was really like having to figure out the lines. Say for example, I know with the girls, there's quite a lot of girls that can do McTwists and stuff like that. However, there was no easy line into a McTwist into this skate park in this skate park. So what it meant is if you were doing a five or a McTwist, you really had to be able to get a nice line into it. So it wasn't just achieving the trick, it was achieving a bit more because it was, yeah, you had to get to the spot, which required a bit of navigation, especially if you've only skated for a couple of days. But all in all, a very complex park and one that was really, really fun to watch people skate. It was a good one to judge because it had a lot of different obstacles, and it seemed like the more advanced the skater, the more advanced the ability to keep your speed, keep your power, keep your flow, and use the maximum possible obstacles. What a rad park. I look forward to seeing you at the Olympics. Yes. Great event. Top 44 skaters cutting to 16 today. Super rad course. A lot of pressure. Big reward. Pretty much going to be deciding this weekend who goes to the Olympics. So very, very competitive. And it was great to see the best skaters in the world battle it out for basically the privilege of skating at the biggest stage in the world. Great day skating. Had Sky Brown in first. I think, if anything, it's a good example of what good flow around a skate park can do, mixed with execution of great basic tricks, with some great lip trick fillers and just some consistency from start to finish. A great run altogether. Some alley-oops over the hips, lots of speed, some big airs, landing quite well, keeping speed throughout the run, which was a big difference to a lot of people. Japan Air over the gap was cool. Backside tail slide. It was a great run, very, very consistent, and a good, solid flowing run. Well done, Sky. Second place, we had Bryce. Super rad run from Bryce. A lot of people we see play like a slow game of chess, safety run, and up one a little bit. And sometimes as a judge, you can feel that people aren't giving you their best skateboarding. They're just giving you what they are guaranteed to ensure themselves to stay on an entire run. And seeing Bryce go out and just shred so hard today, that was really, really cool. Midway through a run, doing a fakie ollie shove it to disaster. Normally when you see those sort of tricks done, you don't normally see them in a women's competition, but if you see them in a men's competition, normally the no-handed sort of stuff, shove-its and stuff's at the end of the run, because if you muck it up, it's hard to keep your speed. She really kept her speed throughout the run, did more tricks after that. Frontside nose blunt, that was really, really cool. Did repeat a couple of 50-50s to fakie, but I will say a lot of other people did repeat tricks. in that sort of strategic game of adding bit by bit and doing it complete safety runs. A lot of people were repeating 50-50s and frontside grinds. So seeing a repeat of a 50-50 to fakie in such a rad run, that wasn't really that big of an issue. Hanano Kosaki, again, when the judges see people bringing their best skateboarding in some way, they reward it. You know, like to see the big 540, skating fast. You can see that effort's being put in and it's going to get rewarded. Same with Mizuho, nice solid run, using the park, the entire park, really, really good flow. Hitting the volcano, not every skater was hitting the volcano. I don't mean going into the volcano and wiggling around, hitting a lip trick coming out. I mean just like using it as a hip. I feel like when I skated that, I felt like that was one of the things that helped you keep speed, was to hit that hip. It was cool. I think that obstacle is really, really cool, not just as the thing in the middle as a really creative sort of obstacle, but as something that helps you keep your speed, and it's just a really good hip. Sakura, nice run, nice and smooth, got the cool lip tricks, rad run. Arisatru, good run, battled for speed a little bit in a couple of places, but did still manage to do the 540 on the vert wall, which I found that to be kind of hard to get speed to skate that part of the park. Get a 540 on it, that was pretty cool. Nose grind and fakie, also a really cool trick. Good to watch, it was good stuff. Haley Servio, great to watch, grow from competition to competition, and to see a run that was using the park a bit more than the last time. And then at the same time, I think coming out straight out and doing a 360 over the box, like that was really, really strong. In this game where people play it safe and someone else comes out and just goes bang, first wall, something really, really good. And that same with Arissa, her Melon 3 at the start of her run, that was a great way to start your run. You come out with a solid, nice trick, good way to start. You know, it means I mean business, you know, and that's cool, because some people just take it easy at the start of their run, and it's like, it's good to make an impression. You know, if you want to get a good result, just to come out and give an impression immediately, that's going to help you. Heike Ventura, great style, kept her speed, some nice airs, some nice lip tricks, Japan air, good flow, that was cool. Grace Marhofer, good use of the park, ended on the block. Block is an obstacle that not all skaters used, so we were rewarding that. And she's got some great basics. As I said, anytime you do a trick really, really well, be it a basic or a hard trick, that's going to be good. I did miss Kokona before. She obviously had a great run for 5th place, like used the whole skate park, backside tail slide, Starfish disaster. Smith on the block, that was good. That was good because it's an obstacle. Anytime you're using this part of the obstacle other people aren't using is good. So Kokona also had a great run. Mei Sugawara, good flow, came straight out the bat, did a really big air to begin with. As I said before, if you want to stand out, do something hard immediately, as opposed to just go and sort of safety through your run. May started a run with the biggest air out anyone did in the whole competition, and it was appreciated. The judges liked it, and ended with a frontside nose grind, and it was a great run. Dora played the strategic game. First run wasn't really good enough to make it through, and she added another trick, and then by the third run she added a lot more. Third run, fantastic, was enough to get 12. Started with a 3, did a Elliott mute in there, frontside feeble got a fakie, good use of the park, good stuff. Dora. Indy, great run, good use of the park, backside 50-50 over the hip, up the extension. That was, again, if you start your run with something pretty rad, it's going to get the judges' attention. Some good use of the park, 50-50 off the spine onto over the hip. So Ruby Lily, nice solid run, backside lip slide on the 9 foot, backside Smith in there, some solid big airs, good stuff. Ruby True, nice solid run. Hitting the block, I think, was a good difference for Ruby. As I said, not a lot of people hitting it, so if someone hit it, that was going to help. Also, Ruby going over the hip, down, backside, that was pretty sick. Frontside invert's also a good trick. So in 16th place, just making it in, we had Minna. So Minna just scraped in, but she had great use of the park. One thing I will say, like, it's one thing to have great use of the park, but if you don't have good execution, a certain run that can get you a certain score, if you don't have good execution, if you have good execution, it might be up here. If you go slow and don't really give it much effort and sort of cruise, air small, it can take you, your score can be a lot lower. The same trick, same line, you don't do them as good, you can get a way lower score, just because if the use of the park is the thing that's getting you across the line, and then all of a sudden your execution goes down, then your score is going to go down. Minna ended her run with a kickflip Indy, risky trick. I think that was the one thing, a bit stronger at the end. And then as well, she also did the transfer. I think we were calling it the fish tongue. I think that's what the builders will call it when they built it. So we call it the fish tongue, the weird thing on the jump box. But that was a good little line. So Minna, great use of the park. 17th place, just missing the cut, Isadora Pacheco. So it came straight out. First trick, frontside grind. Second trick, frontside air. Third trick, frontside grind. Never that good to repeat tricks, but particularly repeating tricks immediately as soon as you start your run, probably not the best thing you want to do. She had some good airs in there, but then at the same time, at the end of the run, she did roll over the box. And if you saw the videos from last week, you'll know that we did mention that this level, you probably shouldn't be just straight rolling over the box. And Minna had a good use of the skate park, so Minna had it over Isadora on that one. Julia Benedetti, great flow in her run. Backside Smith, frontside nose grind, great run. Just missed the cut. It was good, but just skating against the best in the world. It's a super hard cut to make. Still skated sick. Jordan, sketched on the first run, came back and did a stronger run later on. Fairly good use of the park, some eggplants, saran wrap. Again, pretty sick, but we're just skating against the best in the world, so you really just got to bring your A game to make the top 16. It is just the best in the world, so it's just going to be hard. You really got to be going hard to compete for that. Nana Taboulet, again, skated really well. Good use of the skate park, nose grind in the deep, or in the vert corner. It's just competitive. It's just tough, but it was great to watch. Hao Zheng from China, young girl, doesn't have the same amount of power, but did use the park fairly well, but just airs weren't quite as big. But she still managed to do kickflip Indy over the hip. It was small, caught pretty well. Also did a 360 in the quarter pipe and a fakie 5 in the deep. I think the hands went down on the fakie 5. Wasn't the best execution, but there's three pretty hard tricks in a good run. She's going to be around for a while. I think that was some good skating. Fernanda Tanisi, backside lip slide was great. Judges love backside lip slides, and when you slide them like that, that was really, really good. Faye Ebert, some good stuff. Again, it's just skating against the best in the world. You've got to bring your absolute A game. It's a tough gig. Hard skate park to skate, brand new, but great skating. Lola Tambling, some great stuff. Frontside feeble, frontside board slide on the vert extension, all great stuff. As I said, just a tough gig. Poppy, great line around the skate park. I think she repeated rock and roll, which probably was ollie board slide up the extension and a rock and roll on another part, but good run. Lily from Germany also skated fairly good. Finger Lena tail. Again, just with these, just being so competitive, you've really just got to go off. There's no room for just chilling. But I think even just to be at this level, skating this event is an achievement, and all the skating is amazing. It's 44 of the best skaters in the world. Only 16 can make the top 16. Unfortunate, but that's sport. Lily Strachan, great line, did the transfer on the jump box. As I said, I think we'll call it fish tongue because the builders were calling it that, but I don't really have a better name for it. So yeah, she did that. Pretty consistent, nice run. It's pretty rad. Aaliyah Wilson, some good stuff in there. Got a little bit slow, a little bit lost. The backside Smith was really, really strong. Frontside boardside was great. I think it was backed up by a kick turn. At this level, we really want people to be consistent throughout their whole run, not lose speed and not fill with kick turns. And it's a tough gig. I mean, they're hard tricks. There was a lot of good tricks in that run. I guess it was just the flow and lost some speed in there. But some good tricks in there. Li Yujuan from China, good run, nice and fast, good transfer in there, big backside air, that was cool. Hyunju Cho from Korea, backside Smiths were always a pleasure to watch. Ceci Wendrels from Spain went really, really hard, lots of tricks. It was cool to watch, that was cool. Charlotte Heath from Australia added the nose grind in her last run. Came down to it like her last run was really do or die. I don't think she'd made a run. So to add a new trick in her run after not making a run prior to that, that was pretty cool. Madeline from France had a pretty rad line, nice and smooth. Went in the volcano, which a lot of people didn't. So some good use of the park. I will say the only thing is did drop into rolling over the box. There's one thing to roll over the box at some point, not desirable, but just to drop in straight to that, it's probably something you'd want to avoid. It's the highest level of skating, and just something that the judges probably have been a bit just looking out for as not being the best sort of thing. Alyssa Fessel from Austria, 360 deck checking on the box. That's still pretty rad. Good run, good skating. Emily from France, some pretty rad stuff in there. Lillian Eriksson, some good stuff, super good style. Just got a bit lost towards the end of her run. Coco Craft had some nice little methods over the box. Some powerful skating. It was good. Bridget, first run, I think she popped out early, which was a little bit detrimental to her run. I think maybe she heard the first buzzer and just jumped out of that. But skating good other than that. But all in all, a great event and really, really fun to watch. Hey, Renton here. Just finished big day at the Budapest semi-finals. I had the women and then the men. Big day of skateboarding, some huge consequences. People going to the Olympics, people not going to the Olympics. Big serious day of skateboarding where the judges really had to make sure that we took everything into consideration, judged to the criteria, and really just do the best judging we possibly could to get the right people going to the Olympics. So unfortunately had a rain delay, but whatever, those sort of things happen. But some great skating all day. I'll just go through the order. Indiara, bummer that you didn't make your run. Wasn't your day. Same with Ruby True, not quite making a full run. Dora, some very good skating. Quite a full run. Came straight out the gate with the mute 360 and a lot of stuff in there. Frontside feeble, ending with a feeble grind of fakie. It was a good run. Above Dora, we had Minna Stess. So Minna had a good run. I think perhaps the run changed a lot from qualifying to this round. So when you skate the park in a way where you're just using all the obstacles and stuff, you like, rather than having a very trick heavy line, if you're relying on the use of the park, then you kind of really relying on not only on the use of the park and the obstacles and linking them together, but you also really going to be needing to keep your speed, execute very well, do your airs big and stuff like that. Minna skated better today than she did yesterday. Very full run. Yeah, like frontside air over the fish mouth thing. I think it was called from the ramp builders, and ended with a kickflip indie. So it's definitely a solid run. Probably what I would say, the kickflip indie was very small. It was cleaner than the one yesterday. Yeah, like flip tricks are great, but at the same time, we've got to make sure that we're looking at the execution, looking at the height, some good use of the park. Above Minna, we had Grace, and compared to Minna, Grace had a little bit better of a line around the skate park. And I think the difference between Grace and Minna, it was minimal. But the one thing that I think that did sort of put Grace ahead of Minna was the consistency throughout her run. So Grace came straight out of the gate and pretty quickly did an invert. All of Grace's stuff is executed very, very well. I mean, Minna did have a very technical trick, the kickflip indie, but also at the start of Minna's run, there wasn't a lot at the start, and it all came towards the end. And so that sort of made that it was less consistent at the start. There was more at the end, whereas Grace was a little bit more spread over the whole run, and the line around the park was very good. The invert was good. The eggplant was great, and yeah, as I said, that was very, very close. But Grace popped out, came 12th ahead of Minna in 13th. Mate Sugawara skated great. One of the things when you're a judge, obviously I think I've said this in other videos, is just to see people come out and go really hard straight away. If you have to wait a long time for people to start doing good stuff, it's not as good. And May came straight out the gate, big backside air, used the park really well, frontside nose grind, ended with a kickflip indie, so good solid run, used the whole skate park. Yeah, it was good. Well done, May. 10th we had Bryce, strong run, probably less good use of the park. It did have some good technical tricks in there. Above Bryce we had Sakura, so coming in 9th place, just missing the cut. Always a hard place to end up in, and yeah, it did definitely. So I'll do a little bit of explaining. So again, just going back to with what I said about Mei Sugawara, like came straight out the gate, like banging with a really big air. When someone does that, it really just sort of stamps it down and gets the judge's attention. If you have to wait a little bit of time for something like a sort of hammer trick, it's not as good. The consistency probably gets affected. Sakura still had some great tricks in there, but it just started off a little slow. It was a little bit chill throughout the whole thing. But yeah, I think that the run that she sort of stepped up on her last run, the heel flip indie, I think that may have been enough to sort of put her over the threshold and get her in the cut. But the problem was that she sort of landed a bit sketchy and sort of and just rolled over the box. And I think you might, if you from the other videos, that we rolling over the box is not that desirable, and we probably can only really ever overlook it is when you just do like a ridiculous hammer. So yeah, bad luck Sakura. In 8th place we had Ruby Lily, so straight off the backside 3 Mel on the jump box. Great way to start the run. Execution of everything was really, really good. Execution is very, very important at this level. At this level of skateboarding, it's the highest level of skateboarding in the world. we're showing people all around the world skateboarding for the first time, or maybe not the first time, but it's on show to everybody. We want to present the best skating in the world, and we want to present skateboarding that is executed well, looks good, stuff's done properly, and that was really what Ruby did. Like the backside lip slide, backside Smith, backside 3, like it was a good run. Like, so well done, Ruby. In 7th place, Haley Servio, great run. Started out the run with a frontside 3 over the box. I think one of the harder tricks, if not the hardest trick we saw any of the girls do. Great way to start the run. It was also cool because later on in the run she did a mute 5. So like it's one thing to have like a backside rotation over the box and then a backside rotation on the quarter pipe. If you do it with the same grab, it's very similar tricks. Like you rotating one way, grab with one certain way. You do the same thing on another obstacle, even though you might do a 3 and a 5. It's still very similar tricks. And so when Hayley came out and did a frontside 3, and obviously she did some other stuff as well, but came back and did the mute 5. It was the McTwist was done very, very well as well. But frontside 3, you're spinning one way, grabbing with one hand, and a McTwist, you're spinning the other way, grabbing the other hand. So two very different tricks. You're showing different skills on different obstacles. So it was definitely rewarded. There was some lip tricks in there. There was some good use of the park. I'd say there wasn't a great deal of power in that run. Hayley's a young girl. She's still developing, so she obviously going to get stronger and stronger. But the judges are definitely looking at the size of your airs, your execution, and so if you're getting to the point where you're doing airs like really, really small, you just you want to watch that, because the judges are definitely going to be seeing it, and they're going to be critical of it. 6th place, Hanano Kosaki. Great run. As far as the skateboard, lots of power, good use of the park, and I mean, the absolute cherry on top is just a banging big 5, Melon 5. And I think I've said it in videos before, that 540 isn't everything, and it's just one part of a run. But if you're getting around the whole skate park, skating really fast, and then all of a sudden you blast a big 5, that 5 is gonna bring a lot to your run, and this is a case where it definitely did. Saran wrap and a saran wrap tail slide over the gap, up the extension. It was just a good run, a lot of speed, execution was good, and it was rad. 5th place, we'd had Mizuho. Smooth style, good use of the park all over the place, good mix of tricks, Melon 5, frontside nose grind. Sky Brown, solid rad run, a lot of fundamental basic tricks, done really, really well. There's something that's got to be said about doing a really big solid sailfish, or really big solid backside air, bigger than most other people, linking them together, frontside alley-oop, backside alley-oop, backside tail slide, and nice invert as well. And then the cherry on top was the kickflip indie over the box, just done like pretty much perfectly. So that was rad from Sky. So 3rd place, we had Kokona. Good use of the park, great trick choice. It's sort of what we would expect from Kokona, especially at this point in a competition. Not the fastest and most hardcore fast execution, but staying on, still making 3rd place. It was a good run. 2nd place, we had Hiker. That was great skateboarding. As I keep saying, you drop in and you go really, really hard. You get the judges' attention. All right, so the best run of the day was Arissa True. So just start off with her first run. At this level, we want people to be executing well. Like, the judges don't want to encourage people to go out and just learn a heap of hard tricks done badly. Like, we don't want to do that. Like, we want to promote skateboarding as, people executing well, So one of the criteria is basically, is how you execute. So we just want to see good execution. And you could do a trick a certain way and get, a score up here. You do it another way, you're down there. So you just can't mix up the fact that, if you don't do something well, you can get your score docked pretty hard. And so I'm only just saying that because, Arissa's first run was good, Melon 3, Mute 5, but came back pretty small, Indy 3, so it switched all over the box. At this level, we really want to see the execution done well. However, after the score that we gave her for her first run, she came back and cleaned up the run and did some really, really, really difficult tricks. Ending with the line, I believe it was a 360 indie into a switch front setter over the hip, into a switch box jump, into a frontside cab, leaner tail. Wicked combo. Like, that's just such a difficult combination of tricks, especially after already doing a 3 over the jump box into a Mute 5. It was good stuff. to be super hypercritical, all the airs and grinds between it were all really, really small, but those tricks in that combo were really, really good. But half of that combo where the tricks are done very small, it's not going to score the same way. But the switch air to the fronto cavallina tail was a super sick combo. Well done, girls. Super rad. I look forward to seeing the finals tomorrow. Okay, Renton here. What a big day at Budapest. OQS finals for both men and women. Amazing skateboarding. Everyone's worked so hard to get to this point. The skateboarders, all of the federation staff, the coaches, everybody finally at a close to the pinnacle. It's been fantastic just to watch the whole journey of all these rad people, so dedicated, skate so hard, and bring it to this point and get to the point where we're going to show it to the whole world. And it's the biggest stage, and it's just great to have seen the build up to that and how everyone that got there, how hard they worked, and how much they've progressed. And it's going to be great to see how they represent the sport of skateboarding on the world stage. So to start with right now, I've got the women's result from the final. So just looking at I'll go through the just the order, and then I'll go through a little bit from my notes. Excuse me. So 8th place, we had Ruby Lily. Great skating, super solid. At this level, we want to see polished skateboarding, things done well. Highest level skateboarding, you want to see things done properly, and Ruby does things properly. So it was great skateboarding, and well worthy of a place in the Olympic Games, obviously. And so above her we had Haley. So again, super rad skating. Young girl, still developing as far as getting power and all of that. Got some rad key tricks in there, and at this event really figured out how to use the park, how to string things together in one run rather than doing a group of tricks, doing a run of tricks. If I was to be critical, and not to say that it's just basically to put it into perspective, why Haley is in 7th. All the joining tricks are a little bit can be a little bit small, just because she's a small skater, and there's a couple of big bangers in there. Frontside 3 over the box is really, really good. No one else was doing frontside 3s over the box, so that really brought a lot of attention to her run. And then backing it up with the mute 5 or McTwist. Actually, it is a McTwist. But in between that some of the stuff was it's not the biggest airs, should we say, and then say the lip tricks are not grinded that far. That just comes with a bit of power and strength, but to get to 7th place in the world at that young is amazing. 6th place, Heiko Ventura. Well developed skater, lots of power, a good selection of tricks. I think when you're at the highest level of skating and you're doing there's certain tricks that suit park skating and the highest level, and stuff like Smith grinds and proper airs, like Japan airs and stuff like that. It's it's great stuff. I'm going to go into my notes as well and go through each one with a bit of information on the tricks and what the judges were thinking. I'm just reading off the result list. So 4th place, Mizuho. Well, first of all, to see someone shred so hard and to have such a good result and not make the Olympics is we definitely feel for. I definitely feel for Mizuho after seeing that. However, when we're scoring these events, we're not thinking about anything except for the run. So when we did this, the only thing we're looking at was the run. So it's basically, we're not taking into consideration who's got Olympics, who's not, anything like that. Most of the judges had no idea of what result would get who to where. I think actually to figure it out was actually quite difficult. So, but about a bit of a bummer that someone can rip so hard and not make the Olympics. So definitely feel for Mizuho, and that's really just because Japan's so strong at skateboarding. But her run was great. Great all round use of the park. Slightly similar to Hayley Servio in that she isn't fully developed and doesn't have her full potential of power, but she does have power. I would say the run was very well thought out. It had tricks everywhere. The line through the park was good. Everything about it was good. It's just that, when we're talking at this level of skateboarding, you're skating against people like Kokona Haraki, Sky Brown, and Arissa True. They are the cream of the crop, and like to get above them on a day where things really count, it really takes a lot. And Mizu, who went close, she was doing super well, and then Kokona came and went ahead of her. In third place, we had Kokona. Great run. Her first run was very similar to her last run, but her last run was scored a lot better. And that really had to do with execution. I tell you, as a judge, what I've noticed quite a lot is when someone makes their first run, not every time, but quite a lot, they're holding back a little bit. They want to get one in the bag. And when people skate like that, you can really see it. And with someone like Kokona, whose strong point really is to use the park, when you tone it down, you can really take a lot away. Which also means if you go the other way, is if you put the gas on and you skate harder, you can actually go, you can get a way better result. And that's actually with anybody, basically anyone. You turn up the gas and you can, there's two ways to get a better run. One would perhaps be to add tricks, and then another way would be to just amp up how hard you go. Go bigger, faster, grind longer, have more power, and stuff like that. And that's definitely what Kokona did. She put the foot to the floor, and I think she added, I'm not looking at my notes right now, I'm looking just at the order, but she added in her nose grind to lip. And actually when she did that, you could really see just the accuracy of her feet and just how well purposed she was at that point. Everything was actually working very well, and that was just straight after the volcano transfer, which in her first run it was a bit sloppy. And we're definitely looking at that. Like if you do a Smith grind and you kind of don't really go on your rail, like that really matters. And so when Kokona did the transfer into the volcano and then sort of went to Smith out of it, and it was a bit sloppy, kind of affected it, her run, and along with the speed and just the general purpose of, when you've got a purpose and you're confident and you're going for it, you can see that in someone, as opposed to when you're holding back. And so on her last run, Kokona wasn't holding back, and it really showed, and it meant that she bumped up a few places. Second place, we had Sky Brown. In judging these comps, particularly with the girls, we're judging very different things. We're judging some people that are very developed overall in all forms of the criteria versus someone else who may be way stronger in another part of the criteria. And it really means that the judges have got to do a lot of thinking. So, for instance, Sky Brown. So there's a few things in Sky's run that were absolutely rad, that got her really, that put her right up there, but there's a couple of things that sort of made it so it did not quite stand up to Arissa's run. And I would say those things are basically, number one, just kick flipping Indy into the deep bowl. That was over the hip, big, solid, rad, really, really good, proper trick. A trick that no one else is done very, very well. So that's going to go up. And then you also had a lot of other stuff that was pretty rad in there. But I think the thing, also you also had the frontside 3 / backflip. I think it's like a backflip, but the head's still up normal. So it's like a cork frontside 3, but instead of putting your head down, you keep your head up, you put your board up. Looks great. It's like super creative, rad way to do a frontside 3 / backflip. So there was a couple of really mad hammers in there, but also at the same time, there was also the backside tail slide wasn't really executed so well, and there was a backside 50-50. When the judges are getting to this level of competition, we're really looking for anything. You do something well, as I said before, with Kokona, really, when she did the nose line to disaster. It wasn't just the trick she did, it was just how she did it, along with the other stuff that she was doing, just the fine stuff that really showed that she was turning it up. It can go the other way. So Sky, when she did the backside tail, not really pushing, lost a bit of power, and then lost a bit of speed, and instead of doing a backside lip slide, which I think she may have done the day before, or she did in practice, it was a backside 50-50. So even if you've got the radder stuff that you can do in your run, if you do a trick that's underwhelming, that can go against you. If you do a couple of tricks that are underwhelming in a row, that's not that good. But number one, Arissa, great skating. A lot of, I think, progression for the sport. Arissa's doing a lot of stuff that's never been done before, and it's innovating women's skateboarding as far as a trick level. A lot of it is vert-based tricks, and I think a lot of times when judges are looking at skating in a park, it's one thing to see a vert trick, it's another thing to see a trick that is more suited to a park. Arissa's tricks are vert tricks, but she's linking them together, and in this case she did them very well, and she linked them together in a rad way. So she got on this. I mean, like the line, the switch transfer over the box to the front side cab leaner tail, that is pretty innovative. Like, you're not really seeing any girls do that, not seeing many boys do that, if any. And it had the 360 Indian in the switch front air, but as I've mentioned in the video from yesterday, it was pretty small. Either of those two tricks by itself is not really going to make a big dent in your mission to get to the top, just because we are looking at the execution. We're judging skateboarding at the highest level. We're not judging a kids comp, so if you are doing something small, we are definitely taking that into account as not being that positive. But in this case, with Arissa doing the 360 Indy, the switch front set air to the switch box jump to the frontside cab leaner tail, was a really, really good combo. Arissa did replace the mute air with the body varial 5, and that was really cool. There's no other girls doing it, but Arissa putting that body varial 5 in there was, number one, a really good trick, and number two, it linked together other parts of her run that just had small airs. So basically, I'll get to a run now. So I'm going to have a look at my notes. Basically, starting with a melon 360 into a McTwist, like, is a pretty rad combo. Judo air, front set air, body varial 5. Just linked together a spot that was like otherwise would have been 4 sort of basics. So what that did was add some consistency and some intensity into a part of her run that did start to go down a little bit. And then it went straight into a lip slide up the extension over the hip. So using the park into a Smith grind. I think when the body varial 5 was in there, wasn't in there, and it was just the small mute air, we were looking at the Smith going, okay, well, it's been a smallish front set air, smallish mute, lip slide up, and then a smallish Smith. it's a lot of stuff that's not that big and powerful, but to put that body varial 540 in, it really added like difficulty of the trick, added consistency, and it sort of filled the run. So it really brought a lot. And that wasn't just because it was a body varial 540, it was just the placing of that 5 in that run. It just brought a lot to the entire run. It wasn't just a trick brought in, it was a nice bit of glue to the whole thing. So as I mentioned before, 360 Indy wasn't big, but it's a good trick. Not a lot of girls do it. It was done, so that's cool. I think ultimately judges probably would prefer to see airs out the top. Switch front side air, switch air the gap. That was really good because it was proper. It was all the way over the jump box. This was a steep jump box, so it wasn't just an easy one to do. So the judges appreciated that into the lean cab to tail, and just good consistency all around. It just there wasn't a question that run won. So that was pretty cool. See you next time.